Hey, for our Tech 10 talk, Gary, KC3PO, is going to give a talk on Field Day, a recap. Gary?
Hello. We finished Field Day a couple of weeks ago now. I thought it went really well, and a lot of people supported, and a lot of people pitched in and helped out, and I was especially really happy to see how many people were still there at the end when we had to tear everything down. That was a good one. I'll go through some of the highlights here. How'd we do? This is kind of busy, but this is from 2012 to 2018. And you look at the cues here, it's broken down by band. The boxed ones are, for this particular band and mode, the top. So we hit a record on an 80 meter digital and also 40 meter CW. And overall cues, 871. Which is a pretty darn good number, and actually it falls short of 2015 and 2014, but those 2 years we actually ran 5 alpha. So this is the top score for 4 alpha. And here's the contacts by call sign. I could use some help with this list. There's a couple of things that I still need to put together for the submission. I need to find out who among these call signs are juniors, 18 or under. If there's anybody on this list that's 18 or under, please let me know.
Sorry.
None at all?
In this club.
You might wrap around.
I know we've got some younger members. Okay. This will be online, so if anybody, if you don't see it now and you see it later, please let me know, because it's worth some bonus points if we get junior members that made QSOs. Here's the bonus breakdown. Again, we did fairly well. There's one that we tried really hard at was the satellite QSO. How many passes did we try? A dozen at least. We tried multiple antennas, we tried multiple rigs, we tried multiple everything. And we just couldn't get it. The noise floor at that site is just too high to be able to receive enough to get a full QSO. So, youth participation is a question mark here. Pretty much everything else is self-explanatory. We did get natural power QSOs. And we got an elected official visit, which I think is a first for at least a while, at least on this page.
Do we get credit for 2?
No,
Just 1?
just one.
Okay.
And actually the way it's written, the first guy that showed up, I think he just showed up on his own. He's an elected official and he did show up, but he didn't get invited. If you read the bullet points in the field day guide, it says somebody that was invited and showed up. So I don't know how strict they are on that, but we got one.
They figure that the big shot for elected officials aren't going to just...
Right, just show up, yeah. Well, he was actually on his way to a soda. He was there for, what, 5 minutes at the most, I think. Just blew right through and said, I'm going to go do a soda and I'm out of here later.
And I'm an elected official.
Yeah. Take a picture of me. But he was trying to help out, so I appreciate that. Oops. Okay, these were the goals. This was a slide that I put up earlier. This is where we were last year, and this was our nearest competitor in Sierra Victor. We were only 200 points behind them. One of our goals was to beat them. Of course, we're not going to know until all the results come out, but I think there's a good chance we did. And then we also wanted to break the top 10 in the entire Pacific Division. And I think we got a pretty good shot at that too. So we'll just have to see how that comes out. I think we all had fun. Everybody agree with that? I think that was the number one goal, and I got a lot of good feedback on that. Food successes, UDA pulled through with the barbecue, and that was one of the tough ones that we went quite a ways without, nobody was sticking up for that. So much appreciated. Brian's breakfast was a good success as well. We had elected officials, satellite fail, I already mentioned that. The north-south oriented doublet that we had is, I don't know that we've done it before. I haven't been to many field days with this club, but it's the first time that we oriented a doublet to reach north and south. And we actually, that was pretty darn successful. That was the one that, if you noticed, Dennis was number one with 200 QSOs. A good number of those QSOs for 40-meter QSOs. And no, I'll take that back. He was actually on the 160-meter. But Bob UDA had a long run, and you were on that doublet. That's why you're getting all those Washington and Oregon contacts, Southern California contacts. And I made a contact 80 meters on that doublet. I hit Hawaii on 80-meter voice, which I was pretty happy with, and it came in nice and clear. Yes?
How high was it? 50? Okay, good.
Yeah, it wasn't super high, but it gave us some different coverage. There's a lot of stations, a lot of clubs up in Washington and Oregon, as we found out. GOTA this year is kind of a tough one. We really didn't pursue it very much because interference basically with other stations, the normal operating stations. We couldn't find a good band to play GOTA on, and we're going to have to rethink how we approach that. If we put the antennas further apart or find a different band. Clubs that I've had in the past with Field Day, GOTA was probably 80% VHF and UHF and that kind of thing, and we just don't have that coverage up there. So that's a new one for me, and that's something that we'll just have to put some thought into. And the 160-meter end-fed performed really well on 40 meters. Dennis tried to load it up on 160 and had issues. And I don't know what those issues were exactly, but that's going to require some additional investigation. That was a commercial antenna and it's designed for 160. So it kind of surprises me that he had issues with it. So we'll have to troubleshoot that, we'll have to experiment with it and find out what's going on. Yes?
But we did hook up an antenna analyzer, Jim did, and it tuned up on 160.
Yeah.
But it just didn't play nice with his radio for some
Yeah.
reason.
And apparently, the bandpass filter evaporated. I think because that bandpass filter is missing, right? Has it ever been found? That's one outstanding thing. Please, Ryan.
That reminds me, check your bags, check your boxes.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
See if we can find that, because that was a loaner from somebody, and
Yeah.
if we can't find it, we're gonna have to reimburse the owner of that filter.
Yeah, and you know, 160 bandpass filter, I don't think is really that useful. Yes.
Did anybody check the site in the field, maybe? Somebody else there?
We did several walkarounds, and yes.
Yeah, we saw it on a table as of Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So between 7 a.m. Sunday and breakdown at 11, it just probably got put into somebody's case. We went through all the club stuff and we can't find it. So it had to have just gotten put into somebody's case, and hopefully we find it before next year.
Yeah. So, go through all your stuff. Don't store it until next year and then pull it out or whatever. Actually, take a look for it. I went through all my stuff even though my truck was nowhere near where it was. And I actually have a 160. I didn't know that we had another one, so I brought a 160 meter bandpass filter. It never got used. Yes?
The leftovers that we did find are over on the end of this table. Those are all items that we picked up as we struck and clear the area. So
Okay.
if you're missing rope, canvases, whatever, you might want to look in there and see if it's residing there.
Great,
And
great.
I have 2 chairs I've got to bring with me, but I have 2 camp chairs, blue one and a green one, that got left behind, so.
That belongs to Bob and Doc.
And who?
Bob,
This one?
Bob and Doc.
Okay, green one, G, all right.
The missing bandpass filter is fairly small, actually. It's smaller than the club's bandpass filters, and it's smaller than like the ones that I have at home as well. I was surprised at how small they are, but it's a little compact job. I saw all the other ones. I didn't see the 160.
Metal or plastic or?
It's metal. It's in a metal case.
White, with a white sticker on it.
Yeah. What else? This is a question that actually came up a few times up there from at least 4 or 5 different people. Do we stay at Nyack? And I guess at this point in time, it's a decent question to ask. I'm not gonna, you know, I have feelings both ways actually. I know Nyack's been with the club for many years. It's a very good location in terms of public accessibility and public display and that kind of thing. It is not a good location in terms of RF noise. Sir?
Is it public exposure?
I didn't want to, I'm not going there with that. But we had a couple comments from some of the members that are not quite as sure-footed. They mentioned that they had a hard time getting around to the different stations, and a couple mentioned that, you know, they may reconsider going in the future and that kind of thing because they did have difficulty. And it, you know, it's a little bit of a haul to get up there. It's not too bad, but basically I wanted to throw it out there, and I'm kind of thinking that it's at least worth putting some study into. Maybe pull together a group of 3, 4, or 5 people or something like that, and we can possibly look at other sites, see what the RF is like in those sites, see what the parking is like, see what the, you know, as far as the levelness and the accessibility and so on for some people that aren't quite so sure-footed and that kind of thing. So I wanted to throw that out there. That was one conclusion that I had, that it might be worth looking for maybe another site. Any comments or questions on that?
Do you have any sites in mind?
I don't know the area up around Auburn and above well enough to suggest any sites myself personally. But I would say high school football fields tend to work well, that kind of thing. Any sort of public parks, national parks, state parks. Al, you start to raise your hand?
Yeah, what I was going to say, it's early enough where we can take a good, honest look and evaluate it. I think it's worth the deal.
We don't come up with anything, we don't come up with anything. I mean, worst case, we fall back on and do Nyack. Nyack has worked fairly well, but there are some drawbacks for sure.
Years ago, this club used to go to the airport at Blue Canyon next exit up.
Okay.
You ever doing that? Something to think about.
Yes?
Gary, has it always been noisy up there in Nyack, or is it just a recent thing now this year?
This is only my second field day up there, and it was noisy last year as well. Somebody that's been up there more times can fill in that answer. But all the truck inverters all around us, I think there's some noise just from the commercial, the power lines that go through the site and so on. There might be, it seems like there's some data on those power lines of some sort.
Yeah, I think we noticed that a couple of years ago where we started seeing that power line noise, and I think you're right, I think there is data on it. When we put it on the analyzer, it looked like there was a very definitive pattern to it. So yeah, I think they've got something on the power line up there. anything you're running parallel to those lines within about 50, 60 feet, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, and like I said, Greg and I had significant problems with satellite passes. And Greg is definitely, very experienced with satellite passes. I'm less so, but I've successfully done satellite passes. And we tried numerous passes, some very good passes that went up through the zenith that we should have been able to get with no problem, and we had problems. So that was frustrating. I've got a huge list of people that pitched in. Like I said, it was a great club team event. There's no way that I'm going to be able to list everybody, but I definitely want to give MVP honors to Brian. He pitched in with, he even brought us breakfast, and he was pretty instrumental in getting the antennas set up, the site set up in general, and just was a real workhorse throughout the whole thing. Also,
for the next 2 months, we won't tease him about talking too much on the computer.
we're going to lean on him a little bit for site selection possibilities in the future, though, because he's out and about all the time, motoring around in quiet sites in the area. So I don't know. There's people that have lived in this area for a long time. I'm sure you guys might be able to come up with some ideas. So put your heads together and see what we can figure out. Bob PDA with the food. That was a great dinner. And carne asada was a nice ad. It was very good, very tasty. Thank you. I'm sorry. Who was your second in command? Sean. Okay, Sean.
Firemen.
Yeah.
Firemen can always cook.
Yeah. That went off really well. Chip, appreciate that for bringing together. I've got some pins to give away too. I'm supposed to be giving away some pins for people that have helped out. So, Chip. Here's a
That wasn't his head.
Here's one, Bob.
Tony?
If you guys already have a pin, give it to someone else or whatever. Let's see what else. Dennis was a big help with IT stuff in general, and also he volunteered to almost launch himself into the atmosphere with the pneumatic mast. So he was a big help. Aaron, is Aaron here? Aaron's not here. Aaron was one that struck me. He was really good with teardown. I sent him down to take down the 160 meter, and he goes, "Where the heck's that thing?" Once I showed him, he took care of it, and showed up all rolled up and everything. So he's always a good helper too. Ryan helped out a lot with the antennas. Richard had his normal duties, safety and greeting and all that jazz. Burton with his slingshot and drone. What kind of drone is that you have?
It's a DJI Mavic Pro. Yeah.
Nice.
And thank you for not transmitting while I was in the air.
Let's see. Anybody else need pins? Who else needs pins? You want a pin, Burton? Pin? Who else we got on my list? Ryan? You got a pin yet?
Yes, I do already have one. Thank you.
Do you have someone you can give one to?
Sure, I can always give it to somebody.
Let's see, Alan, we had a couple of Al's and Allens in the mix. One brought us a bunch of new equipment, including the pneumatic mast and nice tri-bander and some coax and some bandpass filters. And all that's going to be very good equipment going into the future. I don't think he's here today. No.
Here, just get his airplane.
Who else we got? that's all the people that I wrote down, but I know I missed people. Who you pointing at?
And Alan.
The other, okay, yeah. Let me get, I'll relay a pin here. Gave us a nice tutorial on remote operation. That's our education. We got some bonus points for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've got one more pin. Who did I miss that needs a pin?
No, I know.
Brian says he has it. He gave me all these pins. So he already pocketed as many as he
From
wanted.
the other house.
Okay.
Yeah, the other house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. It was very much a team effort.